Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. I am, of course, Sara Gonzales. It would be weird if my name was something else. It'd be kind of strange to have the show named Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. You can find me on X, Sara Gonzales TX, also at AmericanBeautyBySara.com. I am wearing Miss America on my lips. Go get you some, ladies and gents. I mean, don't put it on yourself. It's for women. AmericanBeautyBySara.com. So, you know, the left does this cute thing. And I use the term cute very ironically because it's not cute at all. And they do this little thing where they're always constantly projecting their own ideology on the right. They're constantly accusing us of some sort of immorality. Instead, they are the ones who are, you know, like twerking naked in front of young children at pride festivals. They are the ones calling us racist and bigots and homophobes and transphobes and all the phobes, even though they are the first ones to, by the way, I know this very personally, the first ones to call me a coconut or a race traitor or whatever, because I believe in legal immigration and not rewarding illegal immigration. And so we could talk all day long about how the left is projecting their own immorality onto us. They're constantly accusing us of doing what they themselves are either have been doing for a very long time, are currently doing, or plan to do. Whatever, whatever tense that is in, it's already in their heads that they're going to go there. But a more like very relevant example talking about the news today is, of course, domestic terrorism, because you've got the left constantly saying, I mean, they can only reflect back to January 6th, 2021. That's the only thing that they can say. And even then, it makes it very difficult when you start bringing up the surveillance footage, the police taking people on guided tours. It becomes very difficult to try to continue to paint that picture of domestic terrorism. But try they will, because they want to claim that you guys are the ones who are domestic terrorists, while they are, of course, the law-abiding citizens. Well, it's interesting because yesterday, an active shooter armed with tactical gear opened fire on Border Patrol agents in McAllen, Texas. And law enforcement agents, of course, returned fire, as they do, killed the gunman. Thank God no ICE agents were harmed in this issue. One McAllen police officer was hit, but is now in stable condition. Again, thank God. But just walked in, tactical gear, clearly premeditated, pointing to the tactical gear, clearly premeditated, okay? And this incident comes just literal days after a police officer was shot in the neck near an ICE detention facility in Alvarado, Texas. Now, it sounds serious. He was shot in the neck, but he's already been released from the hospital. So clearly the shooter missed, just like a lefty. But they said several suspects were involved. They fled the scene. They have since been arrested by law enforcement. And the latest is that the DOJ is charging 10 people with attempted murder after the ICE facility attack in Alvarado, Texas. The defendants allegedly dressed in black military-style clothing and shot fireworks directly at the ICE facility. One individual, according to the DOJ complaint, graffitied vehicles and a guard post in the facility's parking lot with phrases like traitor and ice pig. I mean, this is what happens, right? These people had flyers, allegedly. This is according to the DOJ. They had flyers reading, quote, "Fight ICE terror with class war," and "Free all political prisoners." And then another flag reading, "Resist fascism, fight oligarchy." I mean, this is what their rhetoric leads to. This is what this radical rhetoric that ICE is literally the Gestapo, ICE is literally Hitler, Republicans are literally Nazis because they believe in legal immigration, because they believe in law and order, because they believe that if you came here illegally, you have not been properly vetted and you need to go back and go home. And you know what? You're welcome to join the line. You're welcome to join the queue. But we believe in simple law and order. It's nothing personal. It's nothing personal. The left likes to take personal offense to everything. It's nothing personal. You just did it the wrong way, therefore you cannot be rewarded. Similarly to my toddler, who I try to teach all the time. you can't be rewarded if you throw a fit asking for something. You can't be rewarded with the thing that you threw a fit for, right? It's the same deal here. You cannot reward bad behavior. And the left just thinks you are literally Hitler, literally Nazis, literally the Gestapo, if you are actually carrying out constitutional duties as these law enforcement officers are. I mean, it's unbelievable how violent they have gotten over this is a very simple thing. This is what you need to ask them. Point to one other country. Show me one other country who has the immigration policy that the left wants us to have. We don't have it. The left wants us to have it. Show me one other country. Point to one other country who's like, yes, please bring back the gang members. Yes, please bring back the rapists. Please bring back the murderers. Oh, he digitally penetrated a child. Bring him back. We want all of the other countries criminal. I mean, there's not a country that exists who would have that as their immigration policy. And yet the left fights for it every day. I mean, literally, they're trying to kill ICE officers over that policy. Still, you have Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who made a statement about all of these assaults, all of these recent threats to ICE agents in Texas and Oregon. And he said, of course, they're closely monitoring it. But he also said the department has zero tolerance for assaults on federal officers or property and will bring the full weight of the law against those responsible. Good. I hope you do, because DHS has reported nearly 700% increase in violence against ICE officers. A nearly 700% increase. Do you think it has anything to do with the constant rhetoric coming from the left, coming from actual policymakers? Looking at you, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, the Squad, Chuck Schumer, Karen Bass, LA Mayor Karen Bass. I mean, all of these actual policymakers, these actual officials in official capacity are increasing their violent rhetoric against ICE agents who are literally just trying to keep this country safe and taking out the illegals. They're not going after law-abiding citizens. They're not doing it. Oh my God, your last name's Gonzalez, Sarah. They're going to come after you next. No, they're not, because they're not doing that. And yet there have been 79 reported incidents against ICE agents since Trump took office in February. And there are many more events that are still being processed that don't reflect in the books. But most Americans, sadly, are not even going to hear about these stories because the mainstream media doesn't want you to know them. Now, I would argue barely anyone is watching CNN, MSNBC, those outlets that are not going to report that. But even Fox News, you got to wonder about sometimes. And so you got to wonder how much of America are not actually going to know that leftists commit acts of domestic terrorism, like most of the time when we're talking about acts of domestic terrorism that exist. And the media is simply making up stories about right-wing domestic terrorism. It essentially doesn't exist. You might find one here or there, okay, but you got to dig deep. Remember, parents complaining at school boards because their kids were able to view porn in school libraries was the left's definition of a domestic terrorist. It was the Biden administration's definition of a domestic terrorist. That was a domestic terrorist. That's how far they have to reach to tell you that right-wingers are domestic terrorists. They're just making shit up. Meanwhile, you have leftists entering ICE facilities in tactical gear, passing out flyers about class warfare against ICE and trying to murder them. And CNN's just like, well, actually, let me tell you how it's those crazy right-wingers who are they're the real domestic terrorists. Here's a quick refresher.
Was a memo that was written by an FBI agent in Richmond, which suggested, and they quote, radical traditionalist Catholic ideology.
Agents and analysts are responsible for knowing threats in their domain. They're responsible to ensure that if there is a threat, that they identify it, that they counter it. We know since the Oklahoma City bombing, we know since 9/11, the FBI has been engaged in what's called looking for tripwires.
Osama bin Laden was a terrorist. who committed a horrific act against American people and against our republic. And I believe that Donald Trump is a terrorist who committed horrific acts against the American people.
So we have to stop demonizing people and realize the biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized up to the right.
Oh, no.
And we have to start doing something about them. There is no travel ban on them. There is no ban on, you know, they had the Muslim ban. There is no white guy ban. So what do we do about that?
Yeah, those, you know, white guys going to church and protecting their family. Can't have that. I mean, it's laughable how disgusting their rhetoric has gotten. All the while, they are the ones committing the crimes, but you won't hear about it on their own media sources. It's disgusting. It's despicable. All right, make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, by the way. I keep getting messages of people that are like, I have no idea how I got unsubscribed, but I got unsubscribed. I know. It's because they hate me. They do everything they can to make sure that this show doesn't get out. So you do everything that you can do that takes you 5 seconds, which is smash the like button, make sure that you comment, okay? And make sure that you're subscribed. Share the show with a friend because we all know YouTube is out to get us. We're not going to let them do it. So make sure that you do those things. So when you look at all of the things that the left is doing to try to deter President Trump from literally just doing what he said he was going to do, it's why he got elected in November, in large part due to his immigration policy. He's like, yeah, I don't care. I'm going to, doesn't matter. I'm just going to keep going because DHS just terminated temporary protected status for 76,000 more individuals, particularly Honduran and Nicaraguan migrants, who, of course, are taking advantage of the temporary protected status laws. Now, this was, you know, you had Joe Biden just carting them in, flying them in, flight after flight after flight after flight. Come on. You have one person in the United States who will sponsor you, who will vet you. It's fine. We don't have to do it ourselves. Come on in. Yeah, that's not going to happen anymore. You're not going to be able to take advantage of our laws because we don't have a half-dead president who is letting everyone else dictate that an open borders policy is the way to go. There's a new sheriff in town, including Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, who drilled this point in a statement saying temporary protected status was designed to be just that. Temporary. It's in the name, guys. It's the T in the TPS. It's clear that the government of Honduras has taken all of the necessary steps to overcome the impacts of Hurricane Mitch, which was the original reason that they cited that they needed to be here. Oh, except that happened almost 27 years ago. By the way, if your country can't figure it out in 27 years, this is me talking, not Kristi Noem. Just to be clear, if your government can't figure it out in 27 years, that's kind of a you problem. That's not a me problem. I mean, sucks to suck. Nothing I can do about it. She said Honduran citizens can safely return home and DHS is here to help facilitate their voluntary return. We're here for you guys. Just make sure that you use the CBP Home app. Make sure that you self-deport. I mean, if you don't, you'll never be able to come in legally again. And we will find you eventually. And then you will be shipped out and you will never return. So voluntary return, probably what I would do. Now, these deportations are obviously directly in line with what President Trump promised. Promises made, promises kept. And unlike the left, President Trump is not hypocritical with his administration. He is doing exactly what we elected him to do, despite the fact that all of these judges are doing their damnedest to try to prevent him from doing what he said he is going to do. He doesn't care. You can commit lawfare against the guy. You can try to assassinate him. You can try to assassinate his people. And he and his administration are saying we will not be deterred. We will not be deterred. We will do what we said we were going to do. The American people expect it. And you can try to threaten us and you can try to kill us. You won't be successful and you're going to pay. So go ahead, make my day. Now, as of today, 239,000 illegals have been successfully deported with, they've got a bunch more being processed. It drives me personally, it drives me nuts that we don't have more numbers than that. I think that if we had more up-to-date numbers, that they would reflect many more. But unfortunately, the system we have is a system we have. And once we do get that bump, though, oh my gosh, that's going to be so hot. We will talk about it. But we've got thousands more in self-deportations that I think are not necessarily talked about all the time. I talked to my friend over at Drinkin' Bros, Dan Holloway, thinks that there are like way more than the number of illegals that have been deported by us, way more self-deportations, which is great. That's great. That's what we want. And so all of this is without all of the supposed violence, the tyranny that the left accuses Donald Trump of. Oh my gosh, he's literally Hitler. I don't know. I mean, it looks like he's just doing things constitutionally and people are just voluntarily leaving. Seems like pretty sound policy to me. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break and we will bring in the panel and be back with more. First, we want to thank our sponsor of this segment, Patriot Mobile. So listen, Patriot Mobile, I love these people so much. Glenn and Jenny Story, of course, the founders of Patriot Mobile. And they are like, it's in the name. I get it. Patriot, okay? But they are two of the greatest patriots that I know. Every single time I'm at an activist event, every single time, you look at what these events are sponsored by, who Yakubuyans is down at the border with. I mean, Patriot Mobile's name is popping up everywhere because they are truly putting their money where their mouth is. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless provider, and they are there for you to make sure that you can go with a mobile phone provider that doesn't hate you, that doesn't stand for everything that you are against. So you can give your dollars. This is all about the parallel economy. You can give your dollars to a company that fights for you and that believes that freedom is worth fighting for. That is Patriot Mobile. If you go check out their service, go check out their plans, odds are that they're going to save you money when you make the switch. And you're going to know that they are supporting causes that you actually believe in as well. They're going to take a portion of what's in your bill, just like Big Mobile is, by the way. Big Mobile is taking a portion of your bill, and they're donating it to left-leaning causes. Patriot Mobile is, of course, doing the opposite. If you're watching this program, they believe in what you believe in, and they're putting their money where their mouth is. You can go to patriotmobile.com/Sarah. Use promo code Sarah for a free month of service. This is all I'm telling you to do. You can keep your number. You can port it over. You can get a new one if you want. You can keep your phone. You can get a new one. Set it up however you'd like. I'm just telling you, just do yourself this service. Go to patriotmobile.com/Sarah. Just check out all of their plans. They're probably going to save you money. Just find out. Find out. Will you save money when you make the switch? Find out at patriotmobile.com/Sarah. Remember to use promo code Sarah for a free month of service over at patriotmobile.com/Sarah. Welcome to the show, BlazeTV contributors, Matthew Marsden, of course, actor and producer extraordinaire. You can find him on YouTube at Matthew D. Marsden. Make sure that you subscribe, along with Eric July, BlazeTV contributor and founder of Rippaverse Comics, which you should go check out. Please. Rippaverse.com. I mean, unless you like gays in your comics, and then don't check it out, I guess.
No, we don't have any gays, that's for sure.
If you have bad taste in comics, definitely don't go to Rippaverse.com. If you have good taste in comics, go there. Is that good? That's an appropriate
pitch.
plug.
I'm going to have to adopt that. I like that.
Okay, yeah. You won't find the gays there.
That's the new tag.
That's the new
You
tag.
won't find the gays there. It's fine. I'll just take like a 10% commission.
I got you.
I'm kidding. So I'm glad that you guys are here. There's something that here in Texas, I have, up until this last legislative session for the state, I had been increasingly frustrated with this particular state on this particular topic. But now it appears we may not need to be frustrated at all because federally, it may be taken care of with Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins, who announced an action plan banning Chinese nationals and other foreign adversaries from buying American farmland. Here's some of that.
With this announcement today, we are taking this purpose and our American farmland back. American agriculture is not just about feeding our families, but about protecting our nation and standing up to foreign adversaries who are buying our farmland, stealing our research, and creating dangerous vulnerabilities in the very systems that sustain us. In coordination with the White House, the Departments of Treasury, Defense, Homeland Security, and Justice, as well as state governors, state agriculture commissioners, local, tribal, and territorial governments, today we announced the USDA's National Farm Security Action Plan. This plan includes 7 key action items. The most important, the first of the 7, is securing and protecting American farmland ownership, actively engaging at every level of government to take swift legislative and executive action to ban the purchase of American farmland by Chinese nationals and other foreign adversaries.
Now, for me, it's kind of a given. Like, I look at that and I'm like, why are we allowing all of these foreign adversaries to buy up any land? I mean, farmland, houses, developments, I don't care what it is. I think it's kind of crazy that we allow that to begin with. But particularly with farmland, well, from what I have seen in Texas, of course, I can't, the country is very big. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. So I don't know the specifics of all of the other states, but what I can tell you is the farmland that the Chinese nationals were buying up, at least here in the state of Texas, were peculiarly near military bases. And looking at the geography of it was very, very scary. Apparently, that's not just in Texas. That is across the country. I want to play a clip of Pete Hegseth, Department of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, talking about how this plan, again, to me, no brainer. I get it immediately. But in case people are like, I don't understand what the relevance is, he talks about how it relates to national security directly. Watch.
It's about America first, but it's also just the application of common sense. As someone who's charged with leading the Defense Department, I want to know who owns the land around our bases and strategic bases, and getting an understanding of why foreign entities, foreign companies, foreign individuals might be buying up land around those bases. That's something I should be paying attention to on behalf of the American people, on behalf of my department, and on behalf of the president. It's common sense. And so food security, just like energy resilience, just like where we get our water, that's all national security, especially in a contingency. So we would be asleep at the wheel if we were not fully a party to an effort like this to ensure that our nation had the food supply it needs. But specifically, our troops have what they need on our bases so that in those moments, you can rely on us here in the United States to provide that security. So no longer can foreign adversaries assume we're not watching.
So over 227,000 acres of farmland are owned by Chinese investors. There's the graph right there. This is across 14 different states. Washington State, conveniently over by Fort Lewis, California, Fort Irwin, and Camp Pendleton. There is land owned Arizona, Yuma, Utah, Hill Air Force Base, and let's see, North Dakota, Texas. Of course, I mentioned Fort Cavazos and Camp Bullis. There's Missouri, Ohio. Now that one there's a lot of alleged UFO crash sites and secret special vehicle testing at that particular base. What could possibly go wrong with the China CCP parking right next to that base and, then bringing up windmills? Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. That actually happened here in Texas, Maine, Virginia, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii. The list goes on. But the point is, this is really bad freaking news. This is a national security issue. And again, I bring up the windmills. That's literally what's happening in the state of Texas. They are buying land next to very sensitive military bases, and they are putting windmills up that are very, very tall and can actually conveniently see over the fence of what's going on. But we're supposed to believe it. China just cares about energy, green energy. Duh.
We're just an absolute joke.
It really
honestly,
is.
That's what it is at the end of the day. You can't tell me, we've said this over and over about our politicians, the fact that they've allowed Chinese nationals, which basically, when you're talking about Chinese companies, it's the CCP.
Yes, exactly.
Right, let's be honest. We all know
no separation. There's no separation.
Of course. Listen,
if they're that big to be able to buy land in another country, they are 1,000% the CCP is in on it.
Yes.
That's not a secret. Yeah. It's absurd. Can you imagine doing it the other way around? Do you think that China would just allow an American company, an American company to go over and buy land around a military base? Are you out of your mind?
Right.
Like, look, the politicians in this country that allowed this are treasonous. I am so over all this BS right now. I'm so over with people being so myopic and so selfish that what they're doing is to line their own pockets. They're turning their head the other way to a national security threat that could kill millions of people at the end of the day. And at the minimum, it's going to compromise our military, which, by the way, and Eric, you love about this, you talk about spending all the time. What's the point in putting all this money into secret equipment if they're spying on it? Or what's the point in having nuclear submarines with actual circuit boards that come from China? And we know this, it's all throughout our military. We are so compromised, and I mean, it's crazy to me that we are turning around right now and going, China, pretty much our only major enemy. Let's face it, they're our only major enemy. Is buying land all around military bases. Oh, and by the way, we're going to trans your kids. And oh, by the way, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. We've let it go so far. Like, this is insane. When you see the Trump administration like rolling it back, you're like, how did we ever get here?
Yeah, well, and Eric, I want to get your thoughts too. You're totally right, Matt. But so one of the other, Brooke Rollins mentions 7 critical areas. One of them is enhancing agricultural supply chain resilience. And the thing that I think is so insane to me here is, guys, we're talking about Chinese nationals being caught at the border with pathogens that could affect our crops, like to a detrimental effect. And you guys don't, I mean, hello, again, this is a no-brainer to me. Is like they are owning 227,000 acres of farmland, and they have every intention of bringing in pathogens and bacteria. I mean, whatever the hell, is that the proper name? Pathogens? I don't know. All I know is that they are trying to, biological agents and biochemicals that they are bringing into this country to ruin our crops, our food supply, to ruin us as a nation, because they are always 10 steps ahead of us and we're asleep at the wheel. And thankfully, it looks like in this instance, that won't be happening anymore under the Trump administration.
We will see. It isn't, this is something that happens obviously over several decades. It's this administration, it's the previous one that have kind of encouraged this behavior. And especially with regards to land ownership and farm ownership, that has gotten so out of hand for years, right? In terms of, Rollins is actually a part of it. I mean, even how they were dancing around this whole amnesty thing, though she did address that.
She said there will be no amnesty.
She did address that in that same little press conference or what have you, that there's not going to be any. But if you remember when this whole ordeal first happened recently, where she was saying that, well, they were going to go to prioritizing these criminals over the workers that are here illegally because it would compromise food supply. I just want people to conceptualize that, how far gone things have to be. Well, you have people that are doing things that your governments have declared to be illegal, right? And
letting them doing it,
and then they're letting them do it. They're letting them do it, and then it's so bad to the point to where they have to. At least they feel as if they have to continue to be able to do it. Yep. Otherwise, you destabilize the entire country. That says that it's been a problem for decades. Now, with farm ownership or farm and land ownership, the American people, private citizens, aren't exactly encouraged to be participating in this. Yep. Let's just be completely honest. I say this as someone that owns acreage of land, and you and I have talked about on this show property taxes and how that is that, though yes, you get those agriculture exemptions, they're not as easy to get as a lot of people may think. I've had to do my way of getting out of some tax. I'm still getting taxed by 2 counties, by the way. I will be seeing y'all in that regards, which is a bunch of nonsense. But seriously, look at we talked about this off air. Yeah, I'm getting taxed by 2 different damn counties in Texas, property tax wise. It's insane. But seriously, like, I do believe that through See, this isn't like really privatization, right? What you're doing right now is like, I know that's what some people are going to lean on. It's like, oh, well, isn't this something that you want? They're allowing these foreign governments to participate in this market sort of voluntarism. I'm like, wait a minute. If you think they're playing by the same set of rules that everybody here is playing by, you're absolutely insane. You're stupid, foolish even. But I do believe that encouraging the American people through it's not even through legislation. It's rather through lack thereof or getting rid of some of them to encourage the American people to take back their farms. Also, again, participating in it, not just these massive international food supply sort of companies which get access to all these subsidies and grants and what have you. There's been a lot of people that are owners of small farms that have been griping about this issue, that they're up against it. It's being levied at them by their own government, where they're having to compete with these massive sort of, again, international companies with regards to the food supply, and it's nearly impossible for them to compete. And they're not the ones that are the smaller farms, aren't the ones that are hiring these illegals, so to speak. So I think it does speak to a much larger issue. Great on them to finally start addressing it, but it's going to be it's got to be attacked like on multiple angles.
Are they taking back as well the land? Are they saying if you own it already, you gotta give it back?
I mean, I don't see that directly, but you would imagine that would be the end result. Like, what are you going to do about all of the land that's already there? Of course.
Let me just say this to Eric's point. Even if you want to start a business these days, it is so difficult.
It is, man.
And it's so prohibitive because you have to get a lawyer involved. You have to do this, you have to do that. All that needs to be completely stripped away. It's all got to go. And then you will unleash the American engine that will, I just want to say this quickly. I remember watching a documentary on Harley Davidson, and when they made a bike, right, because, they started just like literally hand making bikes, right? They would get up and they'd open up a casket of beer. You would be shut down in a heartbeat if you were in a place where there was machinery and you opened up beer. But when I watched that, I was like, that is America, that you work hard, you crack open a beer and you celebrate achieving something and then you move on. And we have to look back to that now because the entrepreneurs are being stifled. Absolutely. And the reason why the Chinese can come in is because they have legions of lawyers that are paid $3 an hour, that they can go out and they can do this, whereas the regular American can't do it. So they've got to cut back. They've got to get rid of all this legalese to help unleash the American worker again.
Well, to y'all's point, number 5 of the 7 critical areas is they're saying put America first in every USDA program. So to Eric, to your point, from farm loans to food safety, they said every program will reflect the America First agenda. And of course, they had all of these, programs that they admit have a history of supporting other countries and adversarial interests. They cite the Small Business Innovation Research and Small Business Technology Transfer programs that have been used by foreign adversaries to access research and development funding. Again, to Eric's point, while gaining foreign investment or control in pre-revenue startups. So that is something that they are directly addressing head on. And if there's anyone who understands that at all, more than any president has ever understood it, it's Donald Trump, in my opinion. This has been something that he has been on for a very long time, since his first time in office. And I do believe that they didn't say exactly how, but they did say they are going to try to get the land back. Obviously, they have to work within the law, right?
Would China, though? China wouldn't.
No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't.
That's the law, and
they wouldn't.
No, you can't anymore. So we're taking them back for pennies on the dollar. Screw you. That's it. That's what they would do. By the way, can I just say one other thing? Because I know you like being all coordinated. Did you notice the picture of everyone standing there behind Brooke Rollins? Can you put it up, Stephen?
Can you pull that back up? Brooke Rollins with.
I just noticed something. Look at that.
Wow, that is some coordination right there.
The fact that everyone is wearing blue.
Yep.
That is not a coincidence. I can tell you that right now.
I love that. You think they have a memo that goes out?
I do. I do, actually. I do.
Wear a form of blue. I don't hate it.
But have you ever?
Okay. I don't hate it, but I'm also, Matt just called me a Pan Am flight attendant. Stewardess.
We don't do flight attendant. That's politically
call me
correct
a
bullshit.
Stewardess off air. So I like it. I enjoy it. But what do I know? I'm wearing neckerchief.
Can you hurry up and get me some coffee?
I am the worst stewardess ever, might I just tell you. So I am heartened by this. Again, I thought that it was crazy that we have been watching in these states. You have these states, including Texas, which is why I'm saying Texas is, everyone thinks Texas, oh, it's such a deep red state. Oh, Texas has their shit together. We really don't, because they just got around to has some form of ban of China owning these farmlands, even though they're popping up right next to military bases, and nobody wanted to do anything about it. So do you think that it was going to be done in Washington state or any of these other like left-leaning areas, or not even left-leaning, just leftist areas? Of course not. So thankfully, the feds are not overlooking this. And when they say America first, they mean it. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break. And then when we come back, I want to talk about the new IRS rules under the Trump administration. You're not going to want to miss this when we return. One change that the Trump administration has just recently announced this week was not planned for the show, but I did read it and I am excited about it. So, apparently TSA is no longer going to require you to take your shoes off when you go through the metal detectors, which is great. I mean, I have pre-checks, so like we can keep our shoes on, but it's just absolutely absurd that you have to take your shoes off and they still have a wildly big time failure rate. What is it, like 97% or something ridiculous like that?
That was obsolete within weeks of it actually going into effect, because it was all about Richard Reed, right? The shoe bomber. And within weeks, like, that was over anyway. Yeah. It was so stupid. Same, I hate going through those metal detectors. I've been through, the one that you have to put your hands up like that for. Yeah. I've had it say that I've got something in my eye.
Shut up.
I swear they were like,
wand your eye?
No, the red square went on my eye, and I went, I'm not a Bond villain.
It's right? My eye.
Bomb in the back of his head or some shit. Planted in his brain.
I mean, all that is pointless. And by the way, they are completely inefficient at doing it. They've managed to make it even worse.
Yeah.
The ones now, they've got those automatic, don't even get me on it. I can't even get on that.
I know.
It drives me bonkers.
Well, last time we talked about it. It's just like, and then if the detectors are like not detecting actual trouble, but detecting Matt's eyeball, they also have the TSA agents who don't know their ass from their elbow, and they don't even know their own rules. And I mean, I can't even tell you how many times they've stopped me and tried to tell me that I had stuff that I wasn't supposed to have. And I'm like, that's not true. And I pull up the rule and show it to them. And I'm like, this is the rule on your website. What are you talking about? I had the guy, I know, Eric, you were here. I don't remember if you were here. I had the guy who was like, took an entire bottle of powder dry shampoo and was like, no bathroom stuff. And I'm like, what do you mean no bathroom stuff? Like, I always bring like liquids, I understand. He said, no, it's all bathroom stuff. You can't bring bathroom stuff in big bottles. And I was like, that's not a thing. You just literally made that up. So thank God they are trying to at least bring common sense back into the picture when it comes to the TSA. I would like for them to just abolish it completely. Well, I know I'm preaching to the choir here.
Lee and Tuberville have
They've introduced
the Abolish the TSA Act.
I don't see it happening.
Unfortunately, now there's a lot of things that some of these senators and House reps have introduced that should be absolute no-brainers, but they just don't pass. They can't get enough of them behind. But yeah, TSA, nobody likes the TSA.
Nobody likes TSA. With good reason. Yeah. Sorry if you're a member of the TSA.
I'm not
sorry.
Quit.
Yeah, not sorry. But the Trump administration also clarified as far as the IRS rules. The IRS clarified that pastors are allowed to endorse a political candidate from the pulpit without losing their tax-exempt status. This has been something that for years pastors have been afraid to preach on politics because they're like, we're going to have our 501c3, status revoked. We can't do that. We can't get political. And so they had the Johnson Amendment that was instituted in 1954. Before that, there was no issue. At that point, it argued that a church can't receive tax-exempt status unless it was apolitical, but the Trump IRS is clarifying the law by saying that political preaching will not affect their tax-exempt status. So the preaching is fine, which is like about damn time, because churches not preaching about politics or anything related to it has been very destructive in this country.
This is part of the moral decline of the United States of America, that you can't call things.
They're too scared. They don't want to talk about abortion. They don't want to talk about things that are very, like, from your own guiding doctrine are verifiably, demonstrably wrong, and they feel like they can't say it.
So let me ask you this. When that was brought in, it was brought in when, 1950 what?
1954.
By who?
Well, the Johnson Amendment. I don't know. Who was it?
Well, I mean, it's LBJ, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying, Johnson.
I'm wondering, was it an executive order, or was it like put through by the Democrat? Because it's going to be a Democratic thing, right? It's never going to be a Republican thing. I'll be very shocked if it's a Republican.
Looking that up.
You do that and get me some pretzels and some coffee. This is shocking. Service here sucks.
So actually, this was proposed by LBJ when he was a senator.
Of course, worst president ever.
Interesting. So it was the Johnson Amendment was that Johnson, but when he was in the legislature.
Sucked then, and he sucked when he was president as well.
Yep. Well, there you go. You're not going to get any coffee, though.
Darn it.
No pretzels either. We don't.
I'm writing to the manager.
Well, I'm the manager, so I'll go ahead and collect
Darn it
whenever you're done.
Feminism bullshit.
Oh, man.
Anyway, I read this and I'm like, even it seems relatively small. When you read this, it seems like a blip. Oh, the IRS clarified that pastors can actually preach politics without having their tax-exempt status removed. But the ripple effect, the ramifications of this are going to be so far-reaching. I don't think people understand how far-reaching it can be if the pastors in America take their balls back, which is a big if.
They absolutely need to. I mean, churches, all denominations have been so compromised, man, and they skirt around a lot of issues. And unfortunately, the ones that do attack off the things head on, they're these witches that are masquerading as these pastors that are often left leaning. But the church, look, the gospel itself doesn't even separate, politics from itself. So why should the people speaking it do the same, right? Dangling the tax exempt status does suck, unfortunately, because it's almost like a muzzle on them, because you want to maintain that tax exemption. So you're kind of working within these confines. But anybody has read the Bible, you understand that they very much have talked about. I mean, Satan himself, he said right alongside Jesus, said, "Look at all these kingdoms, these are mine," and what have you. I mean, I make the argument that Jesus was an anarchist, but it's only one king, you know what I mean? The king of kings, I guess, if you want to call him that. But no, on a serious note, the church has, I don't know, it's hard to say when it started. It's been as long as I've been alive, because I don't remember any of my pastors actually diving into this. But you can sort of see the moral decay of not just this country, I would argue worldwide, in which the church has become less involved in really just everything. And I get it, the separation of church and state and what have you, but
that's not even really, like, that's not in the Constitution.
Well,
right? And people take that to mean something
you're not wrong.
That it doesn't mean.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
The same way that they're like, I have a First Amendment right, and they think that extends to like private businesses and all this, and it's like, no, that's not what that means. Please read dust them off and read them again, because that's not what that means.
Yeah.
All right, I could go on all day about this, but we have to take a break. We'll be right back. All right, I love Donald Trump, but I think he is off base on this whole Jeffrey Epstein situation. He was asked today, well, I should say Pam Bondi was asked today about Jeffrey Epstein and the files, and President Trump made it a point to interrupt the question to have this to say. Watch.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
To the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every year, every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing.
All right.
It's really hard to
That
buy.
answer sucked.
It's really, really hard
that
to
answer
buy.
sucked. Yes, people, two things can be true. We live in Texas. The floods are a tragedy. This is something that people hold near and dear to their heart, as well as they should. If the elites are part of some massive pedophile ring, absolutely they should care about it. To sit up here and gaslight everybody and be like, well, you still care about Jeffrey Epstein? Absolutely they care about it. And people need to people forgot. Short-term memory. What Jeffrey Epstein was charged with? He was charged with sex trafficking and conspiracy to commit it. Same with Maxwell. And in the indictment, it says that there are known and unknown people that he was working with. Yet only two of them have been arrested, Maxwell and him.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't make any sense.
It's illogical. It goes against everything and what he's doing and what everybody else is doing as far as part of his administration. Patel and Bondi and Bongino is basically saying you're all retarded and you're not going to do shit about it. This is you want to talk about a black eye on this administration?
It really is.
Absolutely terrible response.
Such an unforced error. It's just such an unforced error. It doesn't have to be this way. They did not have to handle it the way that they have. And to have President Trump come out and say that is very discouraging.
Yeah, I mean, that was there's nothing more. We said yesterday that it was a fail. I mean, this response is a disastrous response from Trump. I mean, we call balls and strikes here, and that's horrible. And let me just say this, Sarah. I did not believe that Trump lost the election in 2020. He never shuts up about it, right? Let's be fair. And I think rightly so.
I
right?
agree with that.
So you cannot turn around to people in the at the other side of your mouth and say, shut up, don't forget about Jeffrey Epstein. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't get, haven't you forgot about that? No, because this is actually it's morally abhorrent what happened. And what we look at, let's face it, we're looking at that as an example of, is this government going to get the bad guys finally? Are they finally going to be rooted out? Are we finally going to see justice in America like we should have done with Fauci, with Epstein, with P. Diddy, who's just walked again, by the way, pretty much? This is very, very bad, and they need to rectify this.
Yeah, they do. Hopefully they will. Now, meanwhile, you have Elon Musk fanning the flames, tweeting out Bannon is in the Epstein files. Which, remember, he said that about Trump with absolutely no evidence. Now he's changed to Bannon. So take that for what it's worth. We'll cover the latest tomorrow.